Hello. Hey, good evening. I don't know if everybody can see me or not. My screen is a little different here right now. So chime in if you can see me. Somebody hit me up if you can see me and hear me. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Hey, great Monday, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am, of course, your host, Audrey Bella Langston, and welcome back to Bella's Hope for Healing. I am so glad to see you guys. We have been through our Thanksgiving, and how about the fact that we are quickly heading into Christmas? Wow, it's just amazing. The time is really moving. And I am just glad that you guys are back. Please, don't forget a little of the norms for my channel here on Facebook. Hit that, smash that like button, as we say. Share this show because it can help the lives of so many people. Also, we're on YouTube Live. You can either put in the name of my show or you can go under Urban Health Outreach Media. Happy birthday to anyone whose birthday is not only today, but all you December babies. I have a December baby. My oldest son, it was born New Year's Eve. So he has a birthday coming up this month. Give me a shout. Hello, I see you in the chat boxes. And I am really glad that you're here. Wow, there I go. My screen was totally oblivious to me. So there we are. Now I know I'm live. Yeah, so we want you to share this because, of course, we want to share the importance of getting the word about kidney disease out here, prevention, organ donation, as well, of course, as those who are in need of an organ to be able to receive one. And I know in my heart that these type of shows, they definitely help. Please don't forget to drop your comments in the box. Ask questions. I've got a great guest for you tonight. So don't be shy. Come on, let us hear you. Tell us what you think. Give us your opinion. It's all open. We're all open for it. So I want to talk to you guys a minute about just something that was really resonated in my spirit about acts of kindness and just about how we have to really, after we receive, and even when we're waiting on an organ, the way we need to really be, in that our new gift of life needs to match our hearts. And so there is something that I came across that was read Sunday um, by a minister that I know. And I just wanted to share it with you because it was really deep. And he was talking about kindness. And it says, I gave a little party this afternoon, and it was just for three. It was very small, three guests in all, I, myself, and me. Myself ate all the sandwiches while I drank all the tea. And it was I who ate the pie. Now pass the cake to me. Okay? What is that saying to us? It is all about me. And that, family, is what's happening, in my opinion, right now, and to many others. We are definitely living in a time when it's all about me, and it's not. And when I think about the word warrior, which is what I like to call, and we all call our transplant recipients, either those who are waiting or those who have received their transplant, there is an expectation, I truly believe, from God that we are to bless others because we have been blessed. Now, I realize everybody, it wouldn't be into doing podcasting and things like that, but there is always, always something you can do to bless the life of someone else, be it a phone call, self encouragement. That is one of the reasons I feel He gives us that gift. And in fact, the most people, success stories that I see with transplantation, and I'm sure many of you do too, the longevity of that transplantation are usually people who have gone and taken that gift further so that they can give it to others, so that they can bless others. That gift was not given to you just to keep to yourself, just to say, oh, bam, I got a new life. I feel great. Yes, you do. And that's what it was all about. But it's also about giving back. You know, it's about giving back to those who are waiting. Everybody does not have a great support base. Everyone does not have a spouse for that type of spousal support. And so it's really important that we reach out to these people and give to them where they might be, whatever it is that they might be lacking in. Just encouragement, just a kind word. That's what it's about, family. It's about being kind to others. And it's so much bigger than ourselves. And that's really important. And so thank you for letting me share that, because it just really touched my heart and blessed me. And based on that, I want to give a shout out of prayer, which I have already done today. And I would like for you guys to do it as well on the tornado victims. This is big news. This is devastating. Yes, it does. Kindness goes a long way, Jared. Wow. Imagine that happens to you and your family, and your entire life has been swept away. All your belongings, everything has been taken away from you. So please, let's keep them in our prayers. I know everybody may not always be able to afford to give, but if you can, every little bit helps. So just make sure you're giving to the right, through the right entities, because there is a lot of fraud out here, and it'll be easy for you to figure out who, even through a news station, they can tell you the sources that are best to give. Okay. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you for letting me share that. I'm going to segue that right into my guest. I'm really excited about my guest tonight. He is 32 years of age, and he resides in California, Cali. He has had a 28-year battle with kidney disease since he was diagnosed as a baby. They still babies. 4 years old is when he was diagnosed. And what he was diagnosed with is at that time is called Post Streptococcal Glomerulonephritis. Yep, another long name. And he'll get into the depth of the breakdown of that. But from that point on, he had many, from the point of his diagnosis, he had many ups and downs throughout the years. But I'm going to let him come out and share his story with us. So please, Jared, welcome, as well as my audience. Welcome my guest, the awesome Philip Jones Jr. Philip, hello, my friend.
Bella, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's always I consider it a blessing when every one of my guests takes time out of the day to out of their work day or whatever else their day holds to come and share, their stories. So, my appreciation is for you. And so I'd just like for you to start out by sharing with the audience how your journey with kidney disease began.
Not a problem. So, my journey with kidney disease started at the age of 4. Started with post strep, like you mentioned earlier. Um, After that diagnosis, a number of things came that I know a number of other people have dealt with before as well. Went into the seizure situation. Had one in my grandparents' arms in my at my grandparents' house, which was the first seizure I ever had. And ended up at Children's Hospital of LA, where I actually just did a toy drive at earlier today with the Y9 Foundation. And so that's pretty much kind of where it started for me. Was at the age of 4. It was it it was a shocker to me, everything that can come with it, because I do remember at the age of 4 I was stuck in a hospital. When I had that seizure, I was stuck in for a month and a half, and I just remember while I was in a hospital looking up, and I had all these wires and tubes and things like that. Everybody knows about the machines beeping every 3 seconds and things of that nature. So for me, it was a rocky first beginning for me, which I think all of us kind of deal with. So to answer your question with that, was that's kind of how it started for me, was post strep.
Hmm. Okay. So, and of course, with you being that age, you had pretty much as a child no understanding of what was going on. Now, what year actually would we be talking about, Philip? Like when?
1993, I believe.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, it was early 1993, if I'm not mistaken. Or yeah,
okay,
yeah, 93. Yeah,
okay. And so the post, in other words, the strep. And so you had the strep at 4 years old. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay. Um, wow. I now was that perpetuated by the flu or anything? Were they detailed in, because 4 is really young, and it's not to say you can't get it, but you don't generally hear strep as much. At least not I didn't with my children. I can just only
Right.
speak as a mom. That kind of comes later in age when the kids are really around older, they get older and around older kids. Excuse me, did they talk about maybe the cause of your strep at such a young age?
I actually got it from my cousin. I
Oh.
spent a lot of time with my aunts and and things of that nature. So I was around my cousins a lot. Me and my cousin Frank are a year and a day apart, so we were always around each other and together. And so I got it from him. He had strep as well, except for whatever reason he ended up getting. I don't know exactly what the name of this particular illness is, but with him, with his strep, he ended up getting like, I think one of his hands dried up really bad, and it stayed that way for a long period of time. He had to always keep lotion on, and I am the one who got kidney disease. So when I was younger, I used to always think to myself, like, you got a concrete hand and I got kidney failure. How did this happen? you know
You're
um
right.
but but I'm grateful for the journey that I've been on, so I can't complain.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little further about that journey. So take us to okay, so you had the strep. Now take us transition us on into how your kidneys began to deteriorate and some of the things that you began to experience, because I believe I remember reading something in your bio about we're going into like 16, 15, like your teenage years or something like that, as far as how did that work out for you from the time you were 4 on into like uh 10 years old, and kind of up from there into your early teens?
Well, the kidney failure part happened pretty much immediately. The lowering of my kidney function, I should say, happened immediately. So at the age of 4, dropped to 30% kidney function, and so from that point on, I when I got out the hospital, everything kind of went stable for me. I was at 30%, right? Stayed at 30% from the age of 4 to the age of 16. When I
Okay.
turned 16 was when I remember going for an appointment with my nephrologist, pediatric nephrologist, and he goes, "Your kidney function levels are starting to decrease and a lot, very rapidly right now. So now is the time that we've been talking about for years, you know, talking transplant, we're going to put you on dialysis." So that whole conversation started right then, like that day, that appointment. There was no waiting, no phone calls, none of that. It was, hey, we're moving you to a different hospital. You're going on dialysis. We're gonna start, getting you ready for the list. And that's where it started. At was 16 for me. I remember it was August. August 2006 is when I went on dialysis.
Mhm.
So the talk really happened maybe a month or two before then. So probably June, July 2006 was when my doctor was like, it's time to make that transition. And so again, like I said, August 2006, I went on peritoneal dialysis. I had my surgery and went through, the trainings and all that stuff like that before you can start your PD. And so I did start off with the cycler. The only time I used the manual was during my training time. So went into peritoneal dialysis at 16. That same year was actually my senior year of high school. And it was there because all I could think about was my last year of high school, and I was a football player when I was in high school, so that's all that I thought about. Right? I was like,
Mhm.
I'm trying to level everything between
Mhm.
football and dialysis, and I'm like,
Yeah, and
everything.
and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
go
cut
ahead.
you off, because I surely was about to ask you a question. That kind of like segues that what you said rather kind of segues into this next question. Um, you know, when we're kids, we just want to be a kid. We just want to, enjoy our life to the fullest. We want to enjoy our friendships. So, and this is kind of a loaded question, and if you need me to ask it again, I will. What I was going to ask is, how did that at that time affect you mentally? Because that's a lot to take in at that age. It was a lot to take in, and I was 31 years old when yeah, 31 years old when I got diagnosed, and it was a lot for me to take in. I can only imagine how I would have felt at your age, and I had a very active, teenage life. And so, how did it affect you mentally? And was there a problem with any educational interruptions, or, any type of, kind of like psychological effects with regard to your relationships, friends? That's the age you start dating. A lot goes on in your life at the age you were. at that time? How did that kind of affect you?
So for me, growing up, it was I tried to honestly keep it a secret. You know,
Mm,
I did not want to be treated like Philip, the kidney disease patient, everywhere I went. I wanted to be
mhm,
treated like Philip, you know, the person who had their name before they had a sickness. You know, I wanted to be who I was around people. So all the way through school, going back, you know, elementary, middle school, high school, I did not tell anybody. Um,
mm,
the only people who knew were my coaches, my some teachers, not all of them, some teachers, and some teammates, some of them. And that was only because they were on my roll in the locker room, and
mhm.
so I had to, you know, wrap my uh, peritoneal dialysis catheter with the, you know, ace bandage and stuff like that, you know, so I won't, you know, mess it up while I'm playing. So, um, but I kept that a secret. Nobody knew. Even even after I had my ended up going to have my transplant that same year, um, I went to graduation that year. For class 2007, I went to graduation, and people looked at me like I just disappeared out of nowhere, right? No, because nobody knew why I left, why I just disappeared, and, you know, wasn't there, and so when I, you know, when I told them, the looks in their eyes, because they didn't know, right? You know, went to school all this time with these people, and none of them knew, you know, that I was suffering from kidney disease and fighting kidney disease. So, but again, that's what made me be able to go through school. You know, was to be
Yeah.
able to have that regular life as a kid.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so it made it so much easier on myself going through school, not having to, you know, be looked at that way, you know, growing up, you know,
Mhm.
and it was honestly, if I had to do it again, I would do it the same way.
Do it the same way.
It made
Yeah, and
it-
that's yeah. Yeah. That's I kind of felt that way as well, with regard to, my career and the kind of career that I had. I didn't talk about it. Very few people, very, very, and when I say few, definitely had, it says two or more, maybe two, and I knew that was a confidentiality thing because I did not want anyone to treat me any differently, because I knew the
Right.
best thing for me to get through it was going to be to um just continue to live a normal life, you know and so, like, I think that's amazing, like when you were sharing that gap between 4 and transitioning on into your teens, and how it was beginning to get more progressive. You didn't mention, and I don't know if you did, but I was going to ask you. It's very interesting. A couple of things. If you weren't experiencing any symptoms during that time, or you just weren't aware that they were symptoms because you were younger and with, of course, a busy lifestyle. And then I find it really amazing that they peritoneal is not encouraged a lot, especially years ago. Peritoneal dialysis, they always try to implement hemodialysis more. And I'm sure if Steve's watching, he would agree to that. And that has its reasons. Because I chose PD, but I was gonna try hemo, but after my arm was infiltrated with that cannulator, I was like, you ain't putting that in my arm no more. you know and so PD ended up being the better choice for me anyway, and a much better choice for my lifestyle. So how about you, as far as, were you experiencing symptoms, and how did it come about that you went on PD?
Well, for me, it was just I was kind of the same way. It's just I didn't want uh to be stuck. I wanted to continue to go to school. And that was going to be really kind of my only way of being able to do that and still live my regular full life that I was
Yeah,
living, you know.
true.
Um, like I said before, you know, playing football, that's what I wanted to do. My dad was a coach, you know, I've been around the game for years.
Hmm.
So for me, I didn't have symptoms really. I mean, we all deal with the fatigue part of it, right? That's not even
Hmm.
really a symptom that just comes with it when you get diagnosed. It happens
Right.
immediately.
Yes.
But other than that, I had no symptoms. It actually seemed like peritoneal dialysis gave me more energy to be able to continue to play football even while I was on PD and things of that nature. It made it easier for me to keep going. And,
Yeah.
again, I didn't want to just, have to get poked every other day or, whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. I was like, man, put this catheter in and, put this PD catheter in and let me go on about my business. Let
Hmm.
me keep going to school, play football, do track,
Right.
and live my life. And I knew that I would not be able to do that the way that I wanted to, the way it was going to be able to keep pushing and keep fighting the way I needed to, by doing anything else other than peritoneal dialysis. And my doctors were, thumbs up for it immediately. I didn't even
Hmm.
waste time. They gave me my options. I was like, give me PD, and it was like, great choice. And we
Hmm. Hmm.
got moving with everything. And so for me, it was the best choice for me at that time for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. And not keeping in mind initially that, yeah, you were younger, you were a student, and so of course you wanted to keep going to school, which was also a blessing because sometimes kids who are dealing with that are a lot sicker and they end up having to transition to homeschooling. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them end up being too sick to even go to school, let alone play sports. So that was really a blessing too, that you were still totally functioning despite, what was going on and the percentage loss of your kidney. So that was really, really great. So tell us about uh how coming up to transplantation and take us into from there about your rejection and how that came about. And I remember reading something very interesting also in your bio that if I'm not mistaken was predicated on your use of Motrin. And the first thing I was thinking is, oh my God, why was he taking Motrin? That, in the beginning, and I'm sure they did it with you, they hammer certain things into you that you can't do. They'll say, well, you can go back to everything normal, what you were eating, your activities. Of course, when you fill up to it, strengthened enough. But they were very adamant about saying, stay away from NSAIDs, which is for those that don't know, and I'm sure anybody regarding transplantation and kidney issue knows that's things like Motrin, Aleve, all those things you love more because they eliminate pain better because what they do is the reduction of inflammation. But they tell us it's not safe and it will mess with it could destroy a kidney. So tell us about that.
I'm glad you brought that up because actually that was the one thing that they did not hammer into my
Wow.
head was to not take Motrin, take Tylenol. So, um, February 2007, I received my transplant, my gift to life, UCLA Medical Center. I was 17 years old, and it was a surreal situation for me. I remember how that call went like it was yesterday. I remember I was laying in my room, and I remember I got a knock on the door. Hey, UCLA on the phone, and I jumped up. I don't jump up for
Mhm.
anything at that time. Like, unless I'm going to go eat or to the bathroom, I'm not jumping up for anything at all. Especially when it comes to have to do dishes or chores or something, right? So, I remember I hopped up, grabbed the phone. Hello, Is this Mr. Jones? Yes, it is. Mr. Jones, well, we have I want to call you, let you know that we have a kidney here at UCLA for you. You need to get here. And I remember the first thing I said was, do I have to get there now? And she's like, yeah, pretty quick, as soon as possible, And I said, oh, okay. And I tell you, the reason why I asked that question is because if anybody in my family knows my dad and knows how he drives, if I would have said anything other than we have time, he would have probably ran 35 lights and caused 10 crashes on the way to UCLA from the house. So I had to make sure that I would make it, right? So
Alive, right?
there, an interesting thing happens while I was there. When I got to admission, there's a young guy that walked in right behind me. And I remember as we were filling out paperwork, I heard his dad saying that he was a kidney transplant. Come to find out that this young man was the other recipient of the kidney from the same person that I was getting one from myself. So
Wow.
I got one and he was the other.
Wow.
At this time, like I said, I was 17 years old. This was literally the first person that I met that had kidney disease. I've never met 13 years, of dealing with this, and I had never talked to anybody or met anyone that had the same disease that I had. Never.
Wow.
That was the beginning of being people that are dealing with either kidney disease or liver disease or heart failure, all these other organ failures and things of that nature, and needing transplants or got one. So to fast forward, had my transplant. Recovery went well, because I was very active. So recovery kind of went like this for me with no problems. And so after that recovery, I went back to school. I made the decision. I said, you know what? I'm not going to adult school. I'm going to, go back and finish high school. I had the option because I was still under that. So the age of 19, where they say you have to get off campus, you have to go to adult school. So I was still under that age, when I got back into school. So I finished when I graduated. I was 18 still. I was 17 when I started back that year. So graduated that same summer. I went to the transplant games. It was in Pittsburgh,
Mm.
Pennsylvania that year. And at that time, I tore my meniscus right knee playing basketball. And in a tournament, I tore my meniscus. I did not know that's what the problem was. So all I knew was I had a hurt knee. Went through the rest of the week with the same hurt knee, ran on it the next day after basketball and everything. And on my way back, I'm sitting in the airport and I'm like, I can't sit on this 4-hour flight with my knee like this. Anybody who's ever been on a Southwest flight before, it's not the roomiest flights to be on. So, I'm looking at places at the time. There was no Tylenol in these places. And I'm like, what is going on? Tylenol was just my preference, period, So I'm looking for that. And then I said, I'm not going to leave. This is my second time ever in an airport on my own for me. The first time was going to Pittsburgh. So I didn't want to just leave my area. Everybody around me was heart transplant or liver transplant patients.
Yeah.
So the only thing around me was Motrin. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I really don't want to take Motrin because it's just not what I like to take. But I need something while I'm on this flight. So took it before I got on the flight. And, it did help. I took it once either like right when I got off the plane or something like that, sometime around then, and a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks later, I had an appointment, and I found out that I was dealing with acute rejection. Now, the acute rejection for me, uh, kind of go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's really interesting. I was getting ready to ask you two questions. How many milligrams had you taken? And you kind of answered the second one when you said that you took some on the flight and then you took some afterwards. If I'm not mistaken, that's
Right.
what you said. How many
Mhm.
milligrams in total did you take with both of those doses?
I think the first time I took some, I had two pills the first time, and I took one the second time because I didn't need as much as I did the first time because I was still kind of having the relief from the first time. It just I could tell it was wearing off. You feel you get that small amount of pain that's building up to the overall amount of it. So I
Hmm.
was getting that, and I said, well, let me take care of this now before I get back into full fledged pain. So I
But
took
were these
I took one.
500? I'm sorry, were these five? What was the milligrams? 200, 500? Do you
I don't
remember?
even remember honestly.
Okay. Okay.
That yeah, I did. I'm not even like I did not look at the bottle.
Okay.
Um, for me to know that, and
Hmm.
I was just like, give me something and give it now before I have to get on this plane and die or something because
Yeah.
my knee was like, if anybody's ever dealt with anything torn, broken, anything like that, then you understand the pain that I was in. Excuse me, I something in my eye.
Oh, no problem.
Um,
Hmm.
and it was very painful. And I think what did it for me, I think I would have been okay had I not ran on it the day after I messed it up.
Mm.
But
Hmm.
I'm an athlete, and so that's
Right.
that's what I do. So
Right.
I did not care really that I was hurt,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but I should have. And I think had I cared, I probably wouldn't be in this situations.
Mm.
You know.
So you said that yeah you got off your flight then tell I'm sorry, share now about how you found out you had a regular doctor's appointment with your nephrologist,
Yep.
labs and things that we usually get. How long after you took that Motrin was and I'm assuming you took no more after
Oh
that.
yeah. No.
Okay. So how long was your appointment to see the doctor after you got back in town?
3 weeks, I believe.
Okay. And on your and I'm sure you did your lab work prior to your appointment.
Correct.
That's generally how it's done. And so I'm sorry, go from there. That's when your doctor said what?
That I was in acute rejection, and he needed me to go to emergency room to be admitted,
Wow.
to give me steroids and stuff, IVIG, and to try to make that to try to save it, and save what was there and left, and try to put everything kind of back to where it was, and it halfway worked. I mean, we did this a number of times before it was just, kind of a lost cause, once we get kind of later down, into time. Um, and it just, it would help and then would come back. And then it would help some more when they do it again, and it would just come, it was like it would never fully turn over and go back to normal. It would like start and then it would like stop and then go back into acute rejection again. And every time I did the IV, I just did the same thing.
Hmm. So were you asked any questions by your nephrologist? Because I guess what I'm here's what I'm having a hard time trying to understand based on knowing about rejections. the interesting thing, I just made the assumption that I assumed you had probably been taking NSAIDs for months because of your pain. But I am very, you know, taken by the fact that you only took 3 pills, and that is, were you actually told by the doctor that, because I would think he'd have to ask you when he saw those numbers, listen, your renal function is really deteriorating here. Have you been doing anything? Kind of tell me, have you been taking anything else? You know what I mean? How do we know that the Motrin caused your rejection?
Their first assumption, as probably any other nephrologist assumption, would be I was not taking my medication. That was
Exactly.
the
That's
first
the
thing that
number
they
one
said.
cause.
Right.
Yep,
That's the
that's the
first
number
thing
one
they
cause of
said
rejection. Hmm.
was, you can't, are you taking your med? And I would say yes. You can't be taking your meds. I'm like, listen, because the first thing they thought was when I went on this trip, I stopped taking my medication,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
told them, I said, I have the evidence and the proof to show you and tell you that I took my medication because there was somebody in my room when I did it. Because I had a roommate at that while I was there,
Hmm.
and I remember the first night when I was getting ready to take my meds, and I remember I got in there. I said, "Man, I gotta go find something to drink so I can take my medication." And we left the hotel. I remember seeing it was a 7-Eleven and a Starbucks, and we got to Starbucks and it was closed. And we looked at each other like, when does Starbucks close? And so we went to 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven was closed. So I'm like, I have to figure out something. So I get back to the hotel room and I'm like trying to think. I'm like, what am I getting ready to do? I got to take these meds. So I said, you know what, forget it. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and order something to drink with room service. I gotta take my meds. Right. So
Right.
I remember I need to go. I was going to go to something, and I told my room, I said, hey, Cooper, I said, can you call room service and order me Sierra Mist? I have to take these meds. And he looked at me and he said, you gonna order room service for a Sierra Mist? I said, yeah, I gotta take my meds. He said, man, look here. He said, if you don't order something else other than a Sierra Mist, I'm going to be mad at you. And that was how my night ended. It was um, a salad, a shrimp Caesar salad with a Sierra Mist every night. The great part about that part of the story is that I didn't have to pay for it, which is why I was okay with doing it. Because if I had to pay for it, I wouldn't have done it. I would have found a way to take these meds some other way.
Yeah.
Um, but that was they tried to put that on me, that it was me not taking medications. And so I was able to prove to them that I took my medication. I told them, and then I did bring it to Motrin, and they were still kind of iffy with that. They were still wanting to say that it was me not taking medication, so they still tried to say it was me and force that on me. And I told them, like, no, I'm not going to take this because you want to put it on me, because you don't want to believe that it was something else other than what I'm telling you was the problem. So after they did those tests, they actually found out that it was the Motrin. They had to come to my face and tell me, you were right. It was the Motrin that caused your kidneys to reject.
Oh, that's interesting. So you had told them that you had taken some Motrin. Yeah. Hey, Jared. Hey, hi there. Chile. Pronounce that. Is
Hey,
that Chile?
Shell.
Hey,
Shell.
Shell. Okay, I like Chile. But hey, Shell, thanks for joining. Could you put that comment back up? What's up, Tafaro? I'm pretty sure. Yep. How are
Mr.
you,
Cook.
buddy? No, thank you for joining us. He was saying, from what I understand, all it takes is just one time of NSAID that can cause kidney failure. Now, I will say this, Tafaro, I was never told that. I was always told it in a way that and I'll give you an example, because I was afflicted out of nowhere by sciatic pain in 2000 and let me see, I moved here. This would have been a year after I moved here. I moved here in 2015, and so 2016 I had sciatic issues out of nowhere. I remember I was in so much pain, so I can relate to pain, honey. Uh, that I was out of Tylenol, did not know it because I kept Tylenol like I keep toothpaste, and I believe in brushing my teeth. And I let myself run out of Tylenol, and I had nothing but some 200 milligram ibuprofen that I had in the house, just in stock, for anybody else that may need it that came over or whatever. I couldn't help. I couldn't move. I took two. So that was 400 milligrams. And I think maybe 2 days later, I took two more. Now, thank God it never did anything to me. I did tell my nephrologist, he said, okay, well, we're going to get you some Tylenol. Don't take any more. But I said, because I'm kind of worried. Should I be worried? And he said, no, 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 no. When my renal function was checked, it was fine. So I don't know. It could just vary from person to person. However, I was never led to believe that if you do it once, it's over. So that's just really interesting.
Right.
And I guess they verified it, as you're saying, through your blood work, that it was ended up being, in fact, the Motrin that did it.
Correct. They did a number of tests. However, they run these tests and found out that it was the Motrin that was the cause of my kidney to reject.
Wow. Wow. So at that point, you had to be put back on dialysis. How did that work? You know, when after that, how did you come to did you have to go back on dialysis at that point?
I did, but not till after my doctor just said that my kidney basically was done. There was
Mm,
no reason for me to keep doing the IVIG and everything else that they were trying to do for me to save it. It was a done deal. But that didn't happen until 2010.
mhm.
So 2010, August of 2010, is kind of where the nightmare starts for me.
Mhm.
But I
And
did
so,
go on. I went
mhm,
on hemodialysis um,
mm,
at that time. I
mhm.
did want to do PD, but because of and what I've learned by going through this is all doctors are different. They
Yeah,
all have different
sure.
opinions, they think different ways, and they take the information that
Definitely.
they get and process it and go forward with it differently. So my doctor told me that I didn't have the time to wait to go on PD.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, what's up, Jonathan? Jonathan was just saying too that it was, in other words, hammered into him as well. Yeah, it was hammered into us. We weren't supposed to do it, that's for sure. But when that pain gets to talking to you sometimes, and if you don't have access to anyone to get you something, but I was just a prayer, that everything was okay. Um, Even in my situation. But again, that was the first ever time that I did that and would never do it again. Um, but when you did not have time to go on PD because it takes time to get the catheter put in for that. Then it has to heal, and so you had to go back on hemo. Did that have a big effect on your lifestyle because you weren't used to hemo, being on PD all that time?
it took a toll on me tremendously.
Hmm.
Um, I had no energy. I could not go to school. Uh,
Mm,
you know, I ended up the week that I was out for to get the catheter and stuff placed and when I was in the hospital and everything like that for that, um, I had an issue at work which caused me to uh be let go because of something that they messed up on their end and they didn't want to take ownership of that, so they let me go, which I'm fine with. Probably was the best because I probably would have to be let go anyways, being on hemo. So it was again no energy. I couldn't do anything. It was a lot with my body trying to adjust to that. And because of the restarting basically of kidney failure for me, I went into another seizure. The month
Mm.
after that, which left me in the hospital for about 2 weeks. Uh, and then right after that, right in that same time frame, October of that same year, 2010, caused by the heparin that we get to stop us from clotting, which is a blood thinner, uh, caused me to have a brain bleed, and I had to have emergency brain surgery in October of 2010. So,
Wow.
um, even though chemo was supposed to be saving my life, it made my life hell at the same time. So, but again, we all have to go through something. So, not
Mm-hmm.
too much complaining here.
Yeah, yeah. Which is the way it should be, because I do always say that what got me through, as and not just me, I'm sure others, what I think is the greatest asset when you are dealing with chronic illness that gets you through it and gets you to where you need to be is your state of mind, because the mind is so powerful, and it literally controls the body too. Where the mind goes, the body will follow, which is why it's so important to try to keep, for people to keep their health, keep healthy, to keep their spirits uplifted, and I knew that's why I wasn't going to be able to do hemo, because I always felt, I watched my grandmother unfortunately go through it, and it was just so depressing to see all those people in the chairs looking like they were, many were barely clinging to life, and even it broke my heart to see her on it in her 70s. And so when I was diagnosed, I just knew that's not what I wanted. And you get your little dialysis buddies, who you sit next to. And I watched her take a hit a few times when she would go back for her day, and that person wasn't there, and she'd ask where were they, and they had died. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So I said, I can't with that. I'm gonna do PD. So, but like you said, I agree. That is really critical for your state of mind. We had a few comments. Jared, could you throw them up there, please? I don't want to neglect anyone's. Okay, go check a second chance on YouTube. Yes, amen. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Um, oh, and Jared, yeah, he said people have to remember that chronic fatigue is a huge detriment. Yes, and also newsflash regarding that. Even post transplant people, such as myself, and being that far out, I still get fatigue. I call it my time. My friends know all about it. When I say I have to just unplug and recharge, I have to unplug from the things that I do so I can recharge. It's just something that comes upon you that sends you in just this, you don't want to really do anything. You're tired. My doctor and I had conversations about this in the beginning, and the one that I have when we moved here in Florida. It's just something that recipients go through. It's just a process that our body goes through. And a lot of it is because of the medications, And the further out you get post transplant, you have to have a few expectations. You still go through a few little things. But as you continue to say, I can't complain. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. We're alive and we know it, and life is still good. It's life without dialysis. So tell me about, not just me, tell us about why not, and how you came about being a founder for your podcast, A Second Chance, and just kind of like some of your acknowledgments and, accomplishments and future goals even. And I know y'all got part of that party on here to Faro. So I know he's a part of it. Yeah. So share with us about that.
Yeah, all those people that commented are, part of my family and
Mm-hmm.
support. So to start with the Why Not Foundation, I came in touch with Edward Drake, who is the CEO and founder of the Why Not Foundation. We met in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, at the 2018 transplant games. And like I said earlier, I was a pediatric, you know, transplant patient. I was, a pediatric patient waiting on a transplant. So, um, and after talking to Eddie, that in that time, and immediately before I even left him, I was like, this is something that I need to be a part of, because for a long time I wanted to be a part of some kind of organization, and at that time, before I even knew about Why Not, of course, National Kidney Foundation, AAKP, and things that, those other organizations that are doing these, that are doing
Mm-hmm.
great works as well. And, they really never gave me that chance and opportunity. They weren't really so big on volunteers and things like that. I guess at that time, I don't know what the, issue was or whatever. Um, and again, I met Edward, and he told me, say, when we get settled in and stuff like that, when we come back from Utah, he's like, call me, we'll talk, do a Zoom call, and the rest is history from there.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me his vision of what he wanted to do in this area, and always wanted to kind of come this way, but he really didn't have anybody to handle all this stuff out here. So I saw that as an opportunity and a blessing for myself to be able to bring something like the Why Not to California and to the West Coast. So I took that opportunity and took him up on his offer to be the representative of Southern California for the Why Not Foundation. Since I've joined the foundation, we've done this. Today was our second toy drive. We did one last year as well at Cedar Sinai Medical Center, and UCLA. Then um, last year in August, we did UCLA for our toy drive, back to school. I'm sorry, our back to school school supply drive, and then we've added some components as well. This year we started doing we brought back doing conferences. We call them symposiums, and we've done two of them so far this year. And then we're adding something for organ donation as well. And so um, we're bringing what he started kind of on the East Coast, and he's taking it around the country. It's not like he's just staying that way. He's done multiple things in multiple areas, and so again, I saw opportunity to be able to give back. Again,
Yeah.
my story started at Children's Hospital, and I was able to be a blessing to Children's Hospital today, and those kids, those pediatrics in their transplant department, by being able to take them, these gift bags and things of that nature. And so, very, very blessed to be able to say that I have, Edward and Why Not in my life. That's where I met Tafaro.
Mm-hmm.
Tafaro's been with Why Not literally since day one. Uh, Why Not's been 15 years strong, 14 kind of more or less officially, but just starting was 15 years ago by Edward, and Tafaro was right there. So Bless, I've met so many different people within this organization. Wills Porter, Victoria, Tafaro, Brandy. It's this number of people, and it was definitely a blessing to be able to meet these people, because they're a big part of my life now. They are family.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. And it's about achieving great things together. I mean, like I think you and Tafaro's show, A Second Chance, is an awesome show. I've watched it several times. Well, as you guys know, because I'm always commenting, but I've really enjoyed it. You guys show, and that's what I was kind. That's one of the things I was touching on in the beginning about how important it is, and Tafaro, of course, is a recipient as well, how important it is to give back. And it's almost like it just comes naturally, to want to be able to do that, and get not just everything is all about ourselves and our new life. Yeah. Very grateful for what you, yeah, absolutely, I agree, Jared. I am as well. So my last question, this has been a great hour. Wow, when you're talking about great stuff, it goes so fast. um what would you say to um, encourage a child or a young teenager? Because for whatever reason, I see you doing this too because of what you went through. A young teenager who was enduring, kidney disease, and or just in a health crisis where it looks as though it may be leading toward needing a transplant because it was such a long journey for you. And I guess what I didn't ask you, which is important, is where are you at right now with this journey? That's really important, that I ask you that as well. I already know your life has been enhanced because of everything you're doing with the organizations. But yeah, where are you at right now? And what I asked you about your how you would advise if someone then that at young age were talking to you.
Um, I'm going to try to say this as compact as possible, so I don't
Yeah.
take up too much time.
Yeah.
Where I'm at the moment is I'm in a good place mentally. I made sure that I placed myself there because I am still fighting the fight to get a kidney. So I always want to make sure that I'm there mentally. I have my psych eval today for transplant with my social
Yes.
worker. So um, it's about making sure that I'm ready when that call comes. And that's what being on a second or and coming on shows like this to tell my story just in general, talking to Farrell Cook, to Farrell Cook does, I don't know if he understands the role he plays in my life now. I don't, I'm not technically what he considers as somewhat like a patient for him with kidney care coaches, but he treats me that way, right? He makes
Hmm.
sure that I'm informed on every level possible to make sure that I'm in a position to receive, that kidney when it's that time. And I want him to know that I'm grateful and thankful that he decided to come on a second chance with me and do this show because he makes the show, what it is. Like, yeah, it might
Yeah.
have been started by me, but he brings so much to it. And so I'm grateful of that to be in the position that I'm in. Um, to answer your second question, what I would say to somebody that is in the position that I was once in is to hold on to your family. Your
Mm.
family is going to be your gas to keep you fueled up and going consistently.
Wow.
Find a support system that you can hug and hold on to at all times because that is going to be your way to get to where you're trying to go in life with fighting this disease. It's not easy to do it by yourself. There's no way for you to do it by yourself. So you find somebody that wants to fight with you and fight for you because it's sometimes we get to that point in this fight and we're just like, I'm tired, I don't want to
Hmm.
fight anymore, but you need those people that'll be behind you to
Yes.
push you, fight for you when you get to that point and get you back in it to say, all right, I'm good now. Shake off your
Yeah.
cobwebs, get back in the fight and keep going another 12 rounds. So, find who those people are in your life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my family's been behind me since day one. My dad, my mom, I have step parents, they've been there for me. My sisters, my brother, they're there for me. I have family members that aren't even here anymore that I still feel are there for me, that are
That's
no
right.
longer walking on this earth. So again, you can't do this by yourself. So you need to find some, even if it's a friend, if it's somebody that you go to school with that's your age, if it's somebody that you can talk to or somebody you can find in at certain times, then do that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they may not understand what you're saying, but as long as they're still there with you to even try to understand, says a lot. So
Wow.
family and support is important. Find someone or a group, stick with them, and keep fighting.
Amen. Wow. That's perfect. That's perfect. Phil, what you said. I couldn't agree more. And it was power packed perfectly. This is yet another reason, like you said, definitely all about family, but also about why we're here. What we do, we pick up that slack, these shows for those who, may not have that intense support, or just want another source of support, want to meet new people who have walked the walk and talked the talk, you know. And so I just love your whole demeanor about it, your outlook. And again, as we touched on that earlier, it's all about the power of the mind, the mindset, and how your overall outlook. That's right. Jim said you speak the truth. Yes, Jim, I agree. I agree with everything you said. I think that you and Tafaro, you guys, bounce off each other as far as just your light shines, as a team, which is really great. And I have no doubt, brother, that next kidney is coming. You're doing some amazing things out here, and you're very optimistic about it. We just ain't doing no Motrin no more.
Yeah,
We
nah.
not
So
doing,
what
never
is
doing
Motrin? What is this Motrin that you speak of? I don't know
All
what you're
right,
talking
what
about.
is that? What is that
I'm lost.
exactly? I know, right? So, yeah. So I choose a scripture to for my guests to leave with, um, because it's what I love to do, and I always kind of pray about that first and ask God to put one on my heart. And this whole show I felt was just gonna be around just the kindness, that is so important today, but so important in what you're doing, what we're all doing with these various, with our various shows, and just the flavor that we each bring to it. And this scripture is just also for all the warriors that are waiting warriors, or those that are already transplant warriors. And it's coming from Galatians chapter 6, verses 9 through 10. And it says, so let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessings if we don't give up. Therefore, whenever we have the opportunity, we should do good to everyone, especially those in the family of faith. And that's us. We are in this family together. We are in this together. And I know you're going to keep the faith. I don't have to tell you that, for another kidney. And I want everybody else on this show that's listening to keep that faith and start to, if you feel like you could do more, with stepping out to your fellow brother or sister, then please do that, because we're all in this circle together, and we all need each other, no matter what. I would definitely say that. And I want to thank you, my brother. Hope to meet you. Yeah, I think that was Jonathan that said hope to meet you in person. Yeah, I mean, we still haven't, because COVID just set everything in a bad way. most of us haven't met in person. I have not met Steve yet. I have not met Jared in person, but yet this we're connected in the spirit, and that's the beauty of it, and I'm just grateful for that. I'm grateful that we can all see each other. Yeah, I want to see everybody. I think it would be amazing for all of us to get together like they do at the transplant games. We can meet up at a transplant game or something in the near future. So I just want to keep you lifted up, brother. I want to thank you for being on my show and everything that you brought to it tonight. And I want to thank you guys all for just allowing me to share what's on my heart when we do the show.
Well, thank you very much. And if you will allow me, this is something that's important to me because I feel
Mhm.
that, if anybody knows me, they know that I'm a person that likes to give recognition. So, everybody that's pretty much commenting here today, I want them to know that I'm appreciative of everything that they've done for myself in my fight. Everybody's kind of I know, personally, except the fact of meeting them in person. So, if you believe it or not, me and Tafaro Cook have never met face to face before.
Yeah,
Um, my brother Jonathan Traylor, Jim
yeah.
Mayock, he's a big supporter of a second chance, and I appreciate him. Shell Allen,
Mm.
Jared, his brother Jeff, yourself, and definitely you because you brought so much life to our show. And I told Tafar, I'm like, man, we just need to go ahead and bring her on here because it's like, what's the point of having all these words and no face to it? But
Yeah,
definitely appreciate you and appreciate you bringing me on your
absolutely.
show today. And
Yeah.
everybody else that's been there for me that I have not met face to face, but have been there for me. Again, my Why
Hmm.
Not families, Second Chance, Jeff Ford, Far Cook. Y'all mean a lot to me. So I appreciate you all. Look forward to the future and what it holds for all of us in a
Hmm.
different amount of ways, whether it's our shows or just working or whatever the case may be. I'm seeing great things coming from you all. So God bless you all. Appreciate you.
God bless you too, brother. Thank you so much, and we will speak again soon. We see each other on here, and for now, we have to. That's going to be good enough. But we are very grateful, and thank you. And you have a wonderful, wonderful night. And
You
keep
as
us
well. Thank
posted.
you.
Yeah, when you get that call, we want to know about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's gonna be
Okay.
all over Facebook, Instagram,
I
LinkedIn,
know,
Twitter.
right?
I'm
Yes,
definitely
we
gonna put a flare in the air or something. So
all
yeah,
right, exactly. And we want to celebrate that with you. So that's why I said make sure you keep us posted on what's going on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Wow. Guys, what a moving story. What a great guy. What a great audience you were today. And I am just so grateful for each one of you. Just like Philip said, it's so important for us to be appreciative of one another and stay connected. So I know we went a little over, but it was so worth it. Everything here said here was heartfelt. And I just want to say, let's just keep everyone, each of us, lifted up in prayer to just be protected as we continue to fight this battle with COVID-19 and these various variants that continue to attack us. I pray that everyone has at least received their first and second vaccination. I know there's still reservations about that, but yeah, we need to stay protected, especially us recipients and those waiting on kidneys. And let's keep the people lifted up that were victims of the tornadoes because, um, the more God blesses us, it means that we definitely should be a blessing to others. And nothing is gonna, make me think otherwise. I just know we will reap the benefits, just as I said in the scripture. So thanks again. You guys have a great night. See you again week after next. And don't forget what Jesus loves you, and so do I. Have a great one. Bye.